Hello, I'm in Shanghai and today I'm doing a tour with Jenny's Tours, but from Jenny's Tours is Peggy.
Hi, I'm Peggy.
My new friend who's been fantastic so far showing me around. And well, tell us where we are at the moment, because this is fantastic where we are now.
Now we're in Chinatown in Shanghai, the old downtown of the city, Yuyuan Garden Bazar, and what surrounded us has a history for around 700 years. Welcome to Shanghai.
This was my first trip to China, and with help from Jenny's ShanghaiTours.com, I had a couple of eventful days and nights lined up. On my first day, the first stop with Peggy was the Yuyuan Garden Bazar. Hundreds of years old and yes, very touristy, but that's apparently no recent thing. You see, the gardens here have attracted visitors for many years, and where there's visitors, there's always an entrepreneur ready to make a quick sale. After the bazaar, it was on to the gardens themselves. Set up by a rich and powerful family hundreds of years ago, they remain one of the oldest and most beautiful parts of the city, and a great area to get some peace away from the hustle and bustle of high-rise Shanghai. After our morning at Yuyuan Garden, it was on to the Shanghai Metro to our next stop. I have to say, I was really grateful to Peggy and Jenny's Tours at this point, as without them, navigating this vast network would have been rather tricky for a first-timer. We soon arrived at Xingtingdi, part of the city's French concession, which was lovely. Another old part of the city with narrow alleys, low European-style houses and plenty of shops, plus some great restaurants and cafes. Perfect for our lunch stop.
Hello. Hi, this is a French concession, Xingtingdi. Come with Jenny's Tours. Yeah, come with Peggy. I'll show you all my childish stories.
You wouldn't believe that we're in China, really. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it looks so European. And it's because of the French settlers, is that right?
Yes.
From many years ago.
Yeah, from early of the 20th century. Yeah.
And apparently there was a British one as well next door, which is where you live.
Yes.
But that's not there anymore. It's a park now.
It's been turned on.
It depends which part of Britain they modelled it on, I think. Some parts better off being a park.
That's right. Yeah.
The next stop on our tour was only a short walk away, and one of my most favourite stops of the tour so far, mainly because it was so personal to Peggy herself, and somewhere no guidebook would ever have told me about: a pet market. More specifically though, a cricket market. Yeah, crickets in Shanghai are kept as pets. Peggy had one as a child, to remind the residents of the countryside, apparently. They're also bought by adults for sport and maybe gambling, although no one really wanted to admit that, and bought as fighting crickets to be pitched against other fighters in cricket fighting tournaments. If crickets aren't your thing, then there's plenty of other animals looking for a home as well. I appreciate some of the scenes in the market are slightly different to what we'd expect to see at home, but I was assured, apparently, that by the end of the day, most of the animals would be off to a loving home. Before long, it was onto the metro and onto our last stop for the day, and this one was another fantastic place that only someone with local knowledge would really know about. Underneath an apartment block in the centre of the city is a small museum set up in someone's garage called the Chinese Propaganda Art Museum, which paints a fascinating picture of Chinese history as the government wanted it to be seen. Obviously though, you can read between the lines and take away from this your own interpretations. Day 2 in Shanghai, and today I was exploring alone, but armed with plenty of tips from Peggy, I made my own way to Fushing Gardens. I was told that retirees of Shanghai sometimes visit here to take part in local exercise classes, dance meetings and other hobby groups. I, however, didn't expect it to be such a popular place among the local OAPs, and I was genuinely moved at how much enjoyment was being had by the visitors to the park, and at how welcoming everyone was to a lone tourist turning up with his camera. This really was a lovely place to spend a morning, and I felt very honoured to be allowed to spectate from the sidelines. Later in the day, it was time to ride the world's fastest elevator. I wanted to visit the world's second tallest building, the Shanghai Tower. This was something else I did alone, as it was easy enough to find and navigate my way to the top. And the reward? Stunning views of the entire city, 126 floors up. In the evening, I was met at my hotel by Celine, my next guide from Jenny's ShanghaiTours.com, who had an amazing night planned, a trip on a boat along the Bund to see Shanghai light up at night.
Now it's getting dark and darker. Shanghai suddenly changed to be a sexy lady, charming lady, whatever.
We're on the river. This is Celine, my tour guide this evening, who's taken me on this fantastic cruise along the river to see Shanghai come alive at night time. All the lights are coming on. Look, have a look over there. It's
Yes,
looking amazing.
amazing. Those are swanky buildings.
And I think later on we're going to try some local food as well.
Yes, really.
Really?
Yes,
Does that mean spicy?
spicy,
Yeah. Sweet?
sweet,
Okay. Yeah, I like
salty.
sweet. Okay, sounds good.
Yes, and this side, historical building also amazing.
The boat trip was stunning, but certainly helped build up an appetite. So with Celine's local knowledge, we headed to local food streets nearby and spent the rest of the evening tasting some brilliant dishes. The perfect way to end my short trip to this fascinating city.